Hey everyone, so we've all spent years in it, right? But what actually is education? Today we're going to pull back the curtain and go way beyond the classroom to really understand the architecture of learning. So let's just start with that big, fundamental question. When you hear the word education, I bet your mind immediately goes to school, right? Classrooms, teachers, tests. But what if I told you that's only one tiny piece of a much, much bigger puzzle? Exactly, because real, true education, well, it isn't something that's confined to a building. It happens at the dinner table, it happens when you're reading a book, or even just having a late night talk with a friend. It's a lifelong journey, not some destination you get to with a diploma. Okay, so this is the core idea that's going to frame everything we talk about. Education is a lifelong, holistic process. And that word holistic is key. It means it's not just about what you know, the facts and figures, but about developing your entire self, your brain, your heart, your character, all of it, through every single experience you have. All right, so with that big definition in our back pocket, let's zoom all the way in. Let's start at the most personal level there is, you. How does education actually go about shaping us as individuals? When we talk about that holistic development, this is what we mean. See, education isn't about just filling up your head with information. It's about sparking your curiosity. It's about training your mind to think critically, not just accept what you're told. It also nurtures your talents, helps you grow emotionally, and gives you a kind of moral compass to guide you. It's really about helping you become, well, you. And I think this quote from Oprah Winfrey just nails that personal power. Education really is the key that unlocks the whole world. It gives you a passport, not just to go to new places, but to explore new ideas, new possibilities, and to find the freedom to choose your own path. So, how does all this growth actually happen? Well, the science of how we learn, that's where psychology comes in. It provides the actual blueprint for learning itself, helping us understand everything from the way a kid's brain develops to which teaching methods actually work and which ones don't. Okay, so we've seen the impact on one person. But now let's pull the camera back. What happens when you take the education of millions and millions of individuals and put it all together? How does that create the blueprint for an entire society? Well, from society's point of view, education is this constant balancing act. On one side of the scale, you have individual development, helping each person grow and reach their own potential. But on the other side, you have social efficiency, making sure people are prepared to be productive citizens who contribute to the whole. And these two goals, they're both super important, but they're often pulling in opposite directions. And this is basically how that balancing act plays out in the real world. A huge chunk of education is about transmitting culture, passing down our shared history, our values, our stories from one generation to the next. But it's also this incredibly powerful engine for social mobility, right? It lets people improve their lives. And it's a catalyst for social change because it's where new ideas are born that push all of us forward. You know, a really great way to think about it is this. If a society is like a computer, then education is its operating system. It's the fundamental code that's always running in the background, shaping how everything else works, our government, our economy, even our culture. Okay, time for our final zoom out. We've seen how education impacts individuals and whole societies. So now let's actually look at education itself as a formal field of study. What's it actually built on? What's under the hood? The thing is, the field of education doesn't just exist in its own little bubble. It's not a standalone island. It's more like an interdisciplinary hub, pulling its most important ideas and principles from other massive fields of knowledge. And you can really see that here. It stands on these three giant pillars. First, you have philosophy, which asks the big why questions. What's the whole point? Are we trying to create obedient workers or creative thinkers? Then you have psychology, which we touched on. It asks how we learn. What's the best way to teach someone something so it sticks? And finally, sociology examines for whom we educate. Is our system actually fair? Does everyone really get an equal shot? So when you put all of that together, it completely changes the job description of a modern teacher. They're not just a person who stands up there and lectures anymore. They have to be a facilitator, creating a space where students can discover things for themselves. They have to be a guide, helping them navigate this ocean of information. And they're also a value educator, helping shape good character. It's a huge job. Okay, so we've covered the what, the why, and the how of education. To wrap things up, let's look forward. What are the big questions and challenges that are shaping the future of education as we speak?
These are pretty much the biggest conversations happening right now. Things like access and equity. How do we make sure everyone gets a fair shot at a quality education? There's the challenge of integrating technology in a way that actually helps, not just distracts. And then there's this growing demand for lifelong learning. In a world where jobs are changing so fast, how do we build systems that help people keep learning throughout their entire lives?
And, these challenges aren't just theoretical. Look at this number. During the 2020 pandemic, more than 1.5 billion students had their schools closed. It was this massive global event that just threw the issue of access into the spotlight. And it showed us all just how fragile our education systems can be.
Which really brings us to the ultimate question for our time, for all of us. Our world is changing faster than ever before. So how must education, the entire architecture, from its deepest philosophies to its day-to-day methods, how must it transform right along with it? That's the challenge ahead.